welcome back. My name is Sarah, and this is where we demonstrate that regular people like me and you can guard ourselves from deception by reading our Bibles in context. So, we have been looking at prosperity theology. The last 2 weeks, we looked at tithing and giving. We are going to change gears a little bit, just a little bit, because we are going to be looking into some teachings that are coming from the New Age. So there are some teachings, they are not just found with the proponents of prosperity theology, they are also found with other people who would actually denounce prosperity theology. So these teachings are not just taught by prosperity theology teachers. So these teachings are actually, they have come in a cunning way. And we are going to look and see, do the Bibles really teach these things? So when I say New Age, what am I talking about? So I have a definition here of what New Age theology is, or what New Age beliefs are. It will help us to understand when we talk about New Age, what are we saying? So I'm going to read it for you. So the New Age is a combination of many different belief systems which are meant to provide a supposed new way of thinking, a new way of living life, and a new way of succeeding in life. It gets its name from the belief that we are entering or have already entered a new age, the age of Aquarius, and this age will bring about a supposed spiritual evolution in mankind. The New Age movement encompasses a wide range of belief systems and practices from astrology, horoscopes, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, the law of attraction, mysticism, pantheism, reincarnation, spirit guides, theosophy, hypnotherapy, transcendent meditation, yoga, chakras, chi energy, extraterrestrials, crystal healing, astral projection, mantras, seances, tarot cards, shamanism, divination, channeling, and any belief system that is linked to spiritism and the occult. So as you can see, this is nothing to do with Christianity. This has nothing to do with Christianity. It's actually occultic. It is witchcraft. It is demonic, this New Age system. However, there are some beliefs that have come from the New Age and have somehow been able to migrate to Christianity and are being taught to us in many, many churches. So we are going to be looking at one of those teachings today and evaluate the scripture to see, does our Bibles teach that? Do our Bibles teach this? So the topic we are going to be beginning is the law of attraction. So the law of attraction is a broad topic that we may use 2 episodes or even 3 to actually cover the whole topic. So the law of attraction, we are going to read from another website, actually from a New Age believer, to see what the law of attraction is. So let's read. The law of attraction is based upon the belief that like attracts like, and that your thoughts create your reality. Your thoughts are made of energy, and that energy is what helps you manifest your desires. The catch is that as humans, we have negative as well as positive thoughts. So if you focus in a negative thought, that's what you will bring into your life. On the positive side, you can learn to harness your thoughts to improve your wealth, health, and relationships. So how do you use the law of attraction in your favor? The key is in 4 powers you hold inside yourselves: your thoughts, emotions, visualizations, and action. So we'll stop there. So the law of attraction is your thoughts, your words. You can visualize something, and as you do, then you will attract that thing. So like attracts like. So of course, it is not taught in this way in our Christian circles. It is actually wrapped up in Christian lingo. So words like positive affirmation, name it and claim it, positive confessions, making declaration. Some people will go on to say karma, visualization. So all these are words that are actually talking about the law of attraction. So where our words, our thoughts have power to attract specific things into our lives. So is this what the Bible teaches? Can we actually name and claim whatever it is? So you see, the proponents of these teachings, they tell us if you speak negative, you're going to draw negative things to yourselves. If you speak positive, you will draw positive things to yourself. So you want to speak good things. You want to speak life. So one of the verses that is used to teach this teaching is Proverbs 18:21 that says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Of course, that's not the whole verse, but that's the main part that is actually taught. That is the main part of the verse that is actually used to say that life and death is in the power of the tongue. So our words have power to actually manifest our whatever our desires are. So it has power to actually be able to control what is happening around us. Our words, do they have such power? So that's what we are going to be looking. So the proponents of this teaching will tell us, if you speak sickness, you are drawing sickness to yourself. So if I say, oh, I'm not feeling well, oh, don't say that, because you will attract sickness to yourself. Or if you speak life, if you say you're rich, I am healthy, that you believe then that you actually are drawing health and that whatever it is that you spoke and the positive thing to yourself. So instead, I am poor or I don't have money, I will say, oh, I'm wealthy. Why? Because I believe that when I speak, I am drawing that thing to myself. So this is actually an occultic concept that is called the law of attraction, where they believe that there is this energy in the whole of the universe, and we want to align ourselves with the right energy. If you align yourself with a negative energy, you draw negative things. If you align yourself with a positive energy, then you draw positive things. So this is what is taught in the New Age, in the occultic world. Is this what the Bible actually teaches? So Proverbs 18 is what we are going to be focusing on. It is hard, first of all, to understand Proverbs, because one of the things is, when we talk about Proverbs are wise sayings. Proverbs are not promises. You cannot say that it is a promise because it is in the proverb. It is a wise saying. So an example I can give you is, we say an apple a day will keep the doctor away. Are we saying that if you eat an apple a day, you will never go to the doctor or you will never get sick? No, we are just saying, well, an apple is used to represent if you eat healthy. If you eat healthy, your chances of getting sick are lower. So the same thing with the proverbs that we see in the Bible, they are wise sayings that help us to be able to live a better life, a life of wisdom, not a life of foolishness. So as a wise person, how are you to carry yourself? So they are not making any promises. So another example from the Bible I can give you is the proverb that says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. So is that a promise that if I raise my children in the ways of the Lord, they will live to serve God? It is not a promise like that. We know, and we've heard of many people who have been taught in the ways of God, but they have departed from faith. Some have come back, some have not. But it is a principle of living. If you train up your children in the right way, the chances are they are going to grow up as wise individuals who are going to be productive people, who are going to be people who are going to serve God. So you want to raise up your children in the right ways, and the odds are they will grow up to live a better life. They will live a better life than the people who are not trained up in the ways of God or the wise ways. So one of the things to consider is that Proverbs are wise sayings. They are not promises from God. Another thing is, Proverbs do lack immediate context. So it's not like a story that you're following along that can say, this is where we are coming from, this is where we are headed. So that makes it a little bit hard for us to understand Proverbs, but still we can understand them from the bigger context of the book of Proverbs. So the book of Proverbs is about foolishness and wisdom. It is a book teaching us about the ways of wisdom. So if you spend any time in the book of Proverbs, very quickly you're going to realize there is a contrast between a wise person and a fool. How a wise person behaves and how a fool behaves. So in that theme of the Proverbs, we are going to be reading these Proverbs, trying to understand them from the context of the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs is about wisdom, comparing wisdom and foolishness. So let's look at these. So we are going to look at Proverbs 18, not the whole chapter. We are going to read specific proverbs in this chapter that talk about words, that speak about our tongue, and see what is he talking about our words. And then that will help us to understand verse 21, what he could be meaning by death and life. So verse 2 of Proverbs 18 says, a fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion. So a fool doesn't care about what someone else has to say. All they care about is me giving out my opinion, me being heard. Verse 4 says, the words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a bubbling brook. So our words, the words of someone, are like deep waters, the fountain of wisdom, a bubbling brook. So it's like a brook that is producing water, life. It's giving, it's producing something that is admirable, that people want to receive, right? Verse 6, a fool lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool will just speak without thinking, and it's like he's asking for someone to come and slap him. That's what he's saying. Verse 7, it says, a fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snare of his soul. So his mouth will get him in trouble, will lead him into destruction, and his lips a snare of his soul. So he gets in trouble because of his mouth, a fool. And then verse 8, the words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. So words of a talebearer, they are gossip. Gossip sounds nice, right? People want to hear what is going on. Gossip is something we all want a little bit. We want to have some insight of what is going on in people's lives. So it's like tasty trifles. Verse 20, it says, from the fruit of a man's mouth, his stomach is satisfied. He is satisfied by the yield of his lips. So by the way you use your words, some people even make a living from the words that they speak. They are able to use their words to be able to satisfy their stomachs, right? They are able to make relationships and be able to actually benefit even materially because of the words, the way they use their words. Verse now the one we are talking about, verse 21, the whole verse now says, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat of its fruit. Those who love it will eat its fruit. So the ways to differentiate between a fool and a wise person is by the words they speak. There are many different ways, but one way is by the words they speak. So a fool, like the verses that we have read so far, not thinking about the last one. So a fool doesn't care to understand, only to express his thoughts. He gets himself in trouble by the words he speaks, and his mouth leads him to destruction. What about the wise man? The wise man is careful with his words because he recognizes the power of his words. And because of it, he is able to feed many. He's able to bring life to many, like a brook, a babbling brook, and he's able to satisfy himself because of the yields of his lips. By the words he speaks, he's able to bless and he's able to receive blessings, all from the words that he speaks. So looking at the difference between the fool, the use of his words, versus the wise man, we can see that our words do affect our relationship with others. Sure, right? Our words, the way we speak, affect our relationship with other people. So our words will determine whether we have friends or we have enemies. So if you speak mean things, you can expect nobody wants to be your friend. If you are kind, more people want to become your friends. So our words have that kind of power to affect relationships. That's one thing. Also, some are even able to make a living from the words that they speak. So from this relationship that you are able to form, you are able to make a living because of how you use your words. So if our words affect our relationship, and our relationships will affect our lives, because then we are able to get more opportunities. We are able to even make a living from those relationships that we are going to form. And those relationships were determined mostly by the words that we speak, because the words that we speak do have that kind of a power, right? All right, so let's first of all look at the book of Proverbs, other verses that are talking about words, and see what are they talking about. As far as words are concerned, all those other proverbs out there, what are they saying the power of the tongue or the power of our words is? So one of the verses we are going to look at is Proverbs 15, verse 1. It says, "A soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." So the way you respond back, your words will determine how the other person responds back, in anger or maybe calmly. If you respond calmly, they respond calmly. If you respond with anger, they respond back with anger. That's the kind of power that is spoken about there. Proverbs 10:21. "The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for lack of sense." So the words of the righteous actually are feeding many. They are a blessing to many who hear them. They are encouraged. You teach with your words. You help people to come to God with your words. So the lips of the righteous, they are feeding many. But the fool, the opposite of that. Proverbs 11, verse 9. With his mouth, the godless man would destroy his neighbor, but by knowledge the righteous are delivered. So the words again here, we are seeing two different kinds of people. A fool, who is the godless man, will destroy with his words, will destroy his neighbor with his words, how he speaks to them. He will destroy with his words. But the righteous one, with the same words, only used purposefully, he will be able to deliver. He will be delivered by his words. He will know what to say and not be destroyed or destroy his neighbor, deliver, or even himself be delivered. And then Proverbs 12:18, it says, "There is one whose rash words are like sword thrust, but the tongue of the wise brings healing." So the words of a fool, they thrust their words, and the word comes like a sword. It's like a sword that comes and pierces. But the words of a wise person, they bring healing. You want to hear them. They are calming. They bring encouragement instead of bringing trouble to you, right? That's the power we are seeing here. Proverbs 12:25, it says, "Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad." So by the words you tell someone, you can help someone who is anxious, who is heavily laden, who you can help lift those burdens by the words that you speak to that person. So the words have power, again, to encourage, to lift up. All right, two more. Proverbs 16:24. Gracious words are like a honeycomb, sweetness to the soul, healthy to the body. So when you use gracious words, you are using something beautiful, something sweet, something that is going to be good for the soul, something that is good for the body. The last one, Proverbs 29:5. A man who flatters his neighbor spreads a nest for his feet. So with the same words, you can ensnare someone. You can spread spreads a net for his feet. So you can cause someone to be trapped because of the words that you told them. Yeah, right? You can use your words to wound or to do good, to harm or to bring healing, right? So it is clear the power of our words is the ability to wound or bring healing, to stir up conflict, stir up anger, or turn it away. The power of our tongue is ability to destroy a neighbor or be delivered. So our words have power. Our words have power, right? So our words can act as a sword. They can actually hurt really bad. Words can hurt really bad, right? And words can also bring healing. Words can help someone feel really good about themselves. Good words can make one glad. They are sweet to the soul. They bring healing. So the power of life and death, now going back to verse Proverbs 18:21, putting all those proverbs together, it can help us realize that the power of life and the power of death is the power to influence for the better or for the worse, right? The wise, they know how to carefully use their words for the better, for the betterment of other people. And because of their words, they bring life. The words of a fool, they are used like a sword that comes to destroy. They bring death, right? So the power of life and death is the power to wound or to heal, is the power to destroy or to build up, is the power to encourage or discourage. That's the life and death we are talking about. Here, the words don't have creative power. It's not like the words you speak draws death to you or draws life to you. No, that's not the kind of power that our words have, not according to this particular verse. This verse is not talking about our creative, words have creative power. That if I say, oh, I feel like I'm sick, then I'm drawing sickness to myself. No, that's not what this verse talks about. All right, another verse that is used to say that our words have creative power is Mark 11:22-24. So this is Jesus talking, and we are going to read it. Let's read it. And Jesus answered them, have faith in God. Truly I say to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says will come to pass, it will be done for him. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. So this is one of those verses that we need to understand what is going on before and what is going on after. So this is not like a proverb. The proverbs, we said, they don't have immediate context. That's why we didn't need to read much about what he was saying, because proverbs are everywhere. They are wise sayings. But this one, this is a continuation of a story. So we need to understand where he's coming from and where he is going. So we are not going to read all of it, but I'm going to give you a brief description of what is going on. And then I want you to actually go and read and see if that is what is going on or not. Am I making things up or not? All right, so in this chapter 11 of Mark, when you read verse 1-11, here we see Jesus. He requests his disciples, not brothers. He requests his disciples to get him a colt or a donkey And he comes riding on this donkey, entering the city of Jerusalem. And he's celebrated by many. Many sing Hosanna to the highest to him. They celebrate him in these first 11 verses. And then 12 to 14, we now see him, with his disciples, they come across this fig tree. And this fig tree does not have fruit. Even though it says it's the time for the fruit, but it does not have fruit. And so Jesus is hungry, and what does he do? He curses this tree. So that's what's going on over there. Verse 15 to 19 now we see Jesus. He goes into the temple and he cleanses it from those who have turned it into a marketplace. So many are selling different things there in the area where the Gentiles would come and worship. So the Gentiles don't have a place to come and worship in the temple. Why? Because it has been turned into a marketplace. It's a place of robbers instead of the house of prayer, like the Old Testament had told us it should be. And then verse 20 to 21, just before now we come to these verses, here it says now, the next morning, they go by the same tree that Jesus had cursed, and the tree has withered out. The tree is dead. He just spoke to it yesterday, and today it's already withered. And the disciples are astonished by this. And so they're like, what? You just did this, and it's already withered that quickly? And that's when now Jesus tells them the words that we just read. Let's read them again, now with that context. And Jesus answered them, have faith in God. Truly, I said to you, whoever says to this mountain, be taken up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt in his heart, but believes that what he says, will come to pass, it will be done for him. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be given to you, and it will be yours. All right, so the first thing he calls them to is to have faith in God in these verses here. The first thing he tells them is to have faith in God. Then he tells them to, if you talk to this mountain, not a mountain, but this mountain, a specific mountain he's talking about. So if you speak to this mountain and tell it to be moved, it will be moved. Okay? So a good question here is, what mountain is he talking about? What mountain is he telling them about that they can speak and tell it to be moved into the sea, and that would be done? So the Old Testament comes in handy here. It helps us to understand. You see, if you go back to the story of the fig tree, but the Bible in the Old Testament uses this example, this analogy of a fig tree to represent Israel. So Israel is represented in many places as the fig tree. So here, let's put it all together. So this fig tree is fruitless. And so Jesus curses it. So now we're thinking about what a fig tree represents. We know that this fig tree is representing the Israelites. The Israelites, Jesus has come, and instead of finding fruit in them, he finds an empty religion. He finds a religion to where they have even excluded everybody else. Even the Gentiles have been pushed out from this temple. So the place it should have been the temple of people to come and worship and know Yahweh, their God. Instead, they now feel they are more important. They have pushed everyone, and now their religion is empty, is fruitless. So what does Jesus do? Jesus curses this fig tree, and it dries up, right? So the temple, in several places in the Old Testament, it is called the mountain of the Lord. For example, in Isaiah 2 verse 3, it is spoken of as the mountain of the Lord. And then it goes on to talk about the temple of the Lord. So the same thing is being spoken of as the mountain of the Lord. And then to cast out into the sea in many places, it's a representation of judgment. For example, we see the Egyptians, Pharaoh and the Egyptians, who are destroyed in the sea. So sea in the Old Testament is a representation of judgment. All right, so here we can say that he is speaking of a religion. The Israelites have this religion that is empty. Jesus has come, and instead of finding a fruitful vine, a fig tree, what does he find? Sorry for that. What does he find? He finds a fig tree that is fruitless. And what does he do? He curses it. So now he's talking to these people and telling them about this temple. This temple is destined to be destroyed. That is the will of God. This religion is coming down. This religion is being destroyed. It's empty. It is fruitless. It is not beneficial to anybody. And so it is going to be brought down. So what is he telling them here? First of all, he's telling them to have faith in God, right? So God is able to judge this religion, this empty religion that has come and masqueraded itself as the true religion, but it is fruitless. It's not beneficial to anybody. So God is declaring, Jesus here is declaring judgment on the temple, which we know will happen later on after he's dead. After he's dead, it will be destroyed. There is no stone that will be left on top of each other. That's what he told them. This temple would be destroyed. This religion is coming down. It is not beneficial to anybody. So when he talks about this mountain, he's talking about this empty religion of the Israelites. The Jewish people have an empty religion that is not beneficial to them or even to anybody else, right? So he teaches them that with faith in God can call judgment upon this empty religion that has failed, and because he will be praying according to God's will, it will be done, and this religion, fruitless religion, will come to an end. So, but more importantly to us, what is he telling them? He's telling them the importance of praying. The importance of prayer. Prayer prayed in faith in God. Prayer should be done in faith in God and should be prayed in accordance to God's will. God's will in this particular case is that this religion is coming to an end. So you pray according to the will of God. You pray in faith in God, having faith in God, trusting God. Then you can believe that your prayer will be answered. So this one is not talking about our words creating or deciding what should be destroyed, right? That I can just declare destruction to a particular thing. It's actually talking about you praying in faith, right? Whatever you pray in faith and praying according to the will of God, it shall be done. Okay, so and then he continues on from there, talking to them about forgiveness and how forgiveness can actually hinder, can actually hinder our prayer life. It can actually hinder us being heard by God when we pray, when we have unforgiveness, right? And then the last part of that chapter, we see the chief priests and the scribes and the elders, they are questioning his authority to do all the things he's done. So he has come, he has judged the temple, he has driven out these money changers, he has judged Israel as a fruitless fig tree. So by what authority are you doing this? So that's how he finishes off. So this chapter mainly is about an empty religion that is coming down. But at the same time, Jesus teaches them how to pray in faith and to pray in accordance to God's will. So, again, not unless I'm missing something, this verse, this chapter is not saying that our words have creative power, that our words can create things, that our words can decide what is happening to the world around us, that I can decide whether I'm going to be rich by what I speak, whether I'm going to be healed, or whether I'm going to be rich, or whether I'm going to whatever I want by just speaking it. I cannot just declare something and that be it, right? What do I need to do? I need to go to God in prayer. I need to have faith that God can hear, God can answer, trust Him fully, and if the prayer is done in accordance to God's will, I can be sure that God is going to answer, right? So it has nothing to do with our words being creative, having creative power, right? So those two verses, we can say, no, they don't teach that, not according to me anyway, right? So let's look at other verses in the Bible that talks about our words and see if maybe we are missing it. Maybe it is taught somewhere else. So again, we are focusing on words today, not the thoughts. That we'll focus on a later episode. But today we are focusing on our words. Do our words have creative power? So James chapter 3, from verse 4 to 10, we can read this portion and see what it talks about our words, our tongue. Does it have that kind of power? Let's read. Look at the sheep also. Though they are so large and are driven by strong wind, they are guided by a very small rudder, wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great things. How great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire. The tongue is a fire, the world of unrighteousness. The tongue is set among our members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of life, and sets on fire by hell. For every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and sea creature can be tamed and has been tamed by mankind, but no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. With it we bless our Lord and Father, and with it we curse people who are made in the likeness of God. From the same mouth comes blessing and cursing. My brothers, these things ought not to be. So according to this scripture, a small thing like a tongue can cause great destruction if left unchecked. It's like a fire that sets a whole forest ablaze. So again, this tells us that our tongue has power. Our tongue has power to influence for better or for worse. It can really destroy. Our tongue has that kind of power. Our words can really destroy someone, or they can really build up, give life to someone, right? But again, we can say it's not saying that it has power for us to manifest our desires. That does not speak anything to do that, right? It just shows that we can bless or we can curse others with this tongue. Our tongue has both powers. We can bless or we can curse. Okay, and then Ephesians chapter 4 verse 29, we just have two more verses to look into. Ephesians 4:29 says, let no corrupt talk come out of your word, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. So our words do have power to build others up or to break them down. And we should be careful the words we speak. The words we speak will determine whether we bless or we curse. We build up, we encourage, or we discourage. Words have that kind of power. Luke chapter 6, verse 43 to 45. Another one that speaks about our words. It says, for no good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For figs are not gathered from thorn bushes, nor are grapes picked up from a bramble bush. The good person out of the good treasure of his heart produces good. The evil person out of his evil treasure produces evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. So again, here Jesus does not tell us that Be careful the words you speak. Jesus is not telling them to be careful with the words they speak because they will draw those things to their lives. Instead, what is he saying? He's telling them that the words you speak will reveal what is in your heart. It shows your heart by the words you speak. So out of the fullness of the mouth, out of the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. Right? So the mouth, the words we speak shows what really is inside of us. So we don't have to be afraid of our words. Our words don't have creative power. They don't have that, because I am afraid of drawing negative things, that I'm not going to speak about the negative things that are happening in my life. I cannot say that I'm sick, because then I'm drawing more sickness. I cannot say I am poor or I am struggling, because then truly I will be struggling. No, our words don't have that power. Our words do have power of life and death, because they can affect others. By the words we speak, we can bless or curse. Not only do they affect others, they affect us, right? Our words can determine the kind of life, the kind of friends, the kind of even jobs we get to do because of the words that we speak. They do have power. So there are words that do have creative power, but these are God's words. God is the only one who can speak things into existence, not me and not you. We don't have that power. For one, God created the world by speaking it. He spoke the world into existence. Psalms 33 verse 6 says, "By the words of the Lord the heavens were made, and by the breath of his mouth all their hosts." So God spoke the world into existence. He had that power. Romans 4:17, it says, "I have made you the father of many nations, in the presence of the God in whom he believed, who gives life to the dead and calls into existence the things that do not exist." So God is the one who calls things that are not in existence as though they exist. He is the one who says to dead living things to come out. He is the one who speaks things into existence, not us, not our words. And also we know that God's word is personified in his Son. Right? John 1:1. "In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God." So God has the power to do. So you see, the reason the New Age believe that we have that kind of power is because they believe we are divine. They teach that we are gods. And they teach that God is in us and God is all. So if we don't believe we are God, the Bible does not tell us that we are God. We are not gods. We are not little gods. And because we are not little gods, we don't have the power of God to create things with our words. That's not what the Bible tells us. So when you are saying that your words are producing or manifesting with your words, the things you say, you are manifesting your desires. You are aligning yourself with an occultic practice. You are practicing witchcraft. You are saying that you are aligning your energies. That is New Age. That is occultic. About the energies. When you're talking about karma, you are drawing no. That is New Age. That is not taught by the Word of God. So in conclusion, our words do have power. Yes, they can encourage, they can discourage, they can tear down, they can build up. They do have power. But the power to create is God's. The power to create is God's. God's words are the ones that create, not our words. So not unless you're a God, not unless you are God, you don't have power to create with your words. That's what the Bible teaches. So next week we are going to look at our thinking. Thinking positively. Can we think things? Can we manifest things by thinking, right? You watch what you think. Watch what you think, because then you are drawing such energies. You are drawing those things to yourself. Does the Bible teach that? So we will be continuing on with the law of attraction. And I hope you will be joining me in that journey. If you haven't watched the previous videos, please do. Those who have, I truly do appreciate. I want these teachings to reach many more, and so I'm thankful, and I pray that God will use these words to bless your lives, to impact you, to draw you closer and closer to Himself for His glory. So anyway, I love you, and until we meet again next week, be a truth seeker. God bless. Bye-bye.